this week's episode of Ushio and Tora. Our titular heroes go on a fantastic journey by shrinking themselves down and going into the body of a famed demon slayer so that they can destroy the evil within. This week's episode of Ushio and Tora was pretty ridiculous, but really, it had it all. Ushio and Tora banter, a brand new character who was introduced, lots of ridiculous fan service, and some over-the-top demon-slaying action. What I love about this episode is that they finally follow up on that plot point which was brought up last week, where apparently Ushio can shrink himself down, they can go into Moritsuna's body and dispel the demons which are within him. And I just figured this week's episode, they were just gonna save him, that'd be the end of it, and they're just gonna start a brand new arc. No, this is going to be a two-parter, and this one was honestly very exciting. And they immediately saved Moritsuna at the very beginning of this episode. There was no doubt in my mind that this character was just going to be killed like that. I knew that they were going to save him. And what's most interesting about this episode, aside from the fact that they are traveling within his body, is that there's this whole tension which is being caused by the fact that when he actually is shrunk down this small, Ushio is going to be susceptible to the more demonic side of the Beast Spear, and because of this, he could be permanently transformed into a yokai himself, which apparently is really bad, especially when you're hanging out in some dude's body. This week's episode of Ushio and Tora is also going to seem very familiar to a lot of people, and that's because it's actually a parody of the old sci-fi film, The Fantastic Voyage, which is all about these scientists which get shrunk down to microscopic size and they go into someone's body. This has been parodied so many times in movies, books, TV. In fact, this is the second anime episode that I've reviewed in my entire YouTube career, which involves characters shrinking down and going into someone's body. The last one was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I've seen it in Dragon Ball Z, and now I'm seeing it in Ushio and Tora. The good news is this week's episode is very exciting and filled to the brim with a lot of action, which has some pretty damn good production value behind it. Not only that, but this week's episode also introduces a brand new character who goes by the name of Izuna, who is this wisecracking little green fox who has the ability to go into people's bodies. And he's actually going to be the tour guide of sorts for Ushio and Tora as they go into Moritsuna's body so that they can dispel these Hio demons. They're actually led by this one cycloptic guy who goes by the name of Chibakama, who is apparently pretty freaking powerful, and their battle against him is very intense. There's also a lot of tension during this episode while Ushio is fighting, because the more he uses the Beast Spear, the more he actually loses himself to the evil demonic power. Throughout the course of the episode, you'll get to see him starting to go insane, as all of these weird black hairs start to explode from his arms, and his eyes start to literally crack. It looks really freaking creepy, but because Ushio is so determined, he will continue to fight. And at the very end of the episode, they have this amazingly climatic battle with the Chibakama, and they also get a little bit of help from Moritsuna's sister, who's currently outside stripping down into nothing, just hanging out in the river, and she uses her weird powers to actually dispel this demon. And it almost seems like Izuna's gonna die, but you know, I didn't really feel that bad about him getting attacked, because we were literally just introduced to him in this week's episode, but it seems like he's going to be okay. And Ushio and Tora and Izuna actually make their way out of Moritsuna's body in one of the most cheesy ways possible. He actually sheds a tear, and they appear in that tear for a split second, and boom, they're immediately big again. Except that at the very end of the episode, before they can even thank them, it looks like Ushio is actually losing his personality to the power of the Beast Spear, ending this week's episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Ushio and Tora? Just an action-packed fun fest. This episode was a lot of fun, getting to see Ushio and Tora and this brand new demon Izuna just running around Moritsuna's body. You can definitely tell that they had a lot of fun animating this episode because the action is very fluid and very impactful, but also just the actual setting of the episode being inside someone's body. It's not just them floating around in blood. They're actually going around to all these different body parts. In fact, there's this one scene that I think is really cool because they're trying to make their way up to Moritsuna's brain, where they're actually running up his spinal cord. It looks really creepy and makes for a very disturbing setting, which is just absolutely perfect for the Halloween season. The introduction of the character of Izuna is very interesting. He seems to know Nagatobi Maru, although he's not exactly a threat, especially when compared to him. He's very, very teeny. He kind of reminds me of like a Digimon or Pokemon design. That's what I really get from this character. But what's most interesting about Izuna is that first, he doesn't really like Ushio all that much, but it's at the end of the episode where he actually ends up sacrificing himself or almost sacrificing himself, that he reveals that he actually just wanted to see what Ushio was all about. He was very interested to see why he was so renowned for all of his abilities, and this allows them to become buddy-buddy really quick, especially at the end of the episode. This combined with the fact that they're actually working with June at the end, where she actually channels all of her power into her eyes, which then flow into Moritsuna's head, is really weird and very creative, and makes this one of the more distinct episodes of the entire series. As far as the technical side of things go, animation, artwork, everything looked really good this week. In particular, the action scenes where Ushio was just going insane, just him flying all over the place, dodging all of these big attacks, and fighting against the Chibakama, which was the Cyclops monster, looked really freaking awesome. Which ended on another cliffhanger. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. I honestly don't think he's going to be taken over by the power of the Beast Spear. He's probably going to suppress it, but this is a brand new plot point for the series. There is the possibility that this could happen again. Maybe this is just the result of Ushio going inside someone's body and being shrunk down. Maybe throughout the rest of the series he's going to have to try and fight for control of his actual self, or being transformed into a monster. There's also a little bit of development for Tora as well, where he claims that throughout the entire episode that if he starts to transform into a demon, he's just going to eat him before that can happen. However, he always stops him before this can actually happen, and this leads to a lot of funny confrontations between both Tora and Izuna as well. Otherwise, this was just a fantastic, fun, action-packed episode with lots of action, new characters, fan service, and a nice cliffhanger ending. Check it out, Ushio and Tora fans! I'm giving this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Pretty damn good. Check it out if you read the manga, or if you're just continuing to watch the anime. You're definitely going to see something you like. But before you guys leave today, I want to hear your thoughts about this week's episode of Ushio and Tora, and you can tell me in the comment section below. Do you think Ushio is now going to be taken control of by the demon? Will he be able to suppress the power? Will one of these weird yokai slayers be able to help him out? What is going to happen in the rest of Ushio and Tora, and what do you want to see from the rest of the series? Make sure to tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!